Hey, Nolan Stoltz here, the composer of the Route 66 suite, and I wanted to share with you a little of what is inspiring the opening movement titled AD 1926. I like taking the path that Route 66 would have taken back in 1926 to get a sense of what travelers in those days would have seen. For example, right now we're heading into St. Louis on the McKinley Bridge, which was built in 1910. This was the original path of Route 66. This here is a 1933 map, but I've drawn in the route of 1926. In this video, I'm going to take you through St. Louis using the original route. When I do this, I like to look for buildings that would have existed in 1926, and for places with more modern structures, I'll imagine what it may have looked like. As we come off the bridge here, I can no longer turn south on 9th Street like an original Route 66 traveler would, because nowadays it is one-way northbound. So I'm going to detour past I-70 and come back right around and resume the video southbound on 9th Street. This neighborhood seems to be mostly light industry, and there is very little traffic, which is funny because we're only a couple miles from downtown. As we pass Chamber Street, there is a block of older brick buildings that give a sense of old St. Louis, like the early Route 66 days. Now, 9th Street gets cut off by the interstate, so we're going to have to detour around. It does resume south of the interstate, but it's one-way northbound again, so we're going to have to detour all the way to 2 blocks north of our next turn, which is Washington Avenue. We're in downtown St. Louis now, and we really can get the sense of 1926 with these older brick buildings. We turn right on Washington, and we get this lovely view with all the older brick buildings. This drive is really nice. It's short though. We're going to take this just to 12th Street and turn left. Twelfth Street is called Tucker Boulevard these days, but we will still make a left here. On the right is Hotel Jefferson, dating back to 1904. This would have been an amazing place to stay back in 1926. Now, normally we'd make a right onto Locust right here, but as you can see, it was closed the day I filmed this. I detoured around and took some still shots looking westbound on Locust. I'm not sure when this neon sign dates back to, but the building is from 1925. A drive down Locust is a real step back in time. I'm not sure how 66 went from Locust onto Lindell, but this is looking down Lindell, and we'll continue the video heading down that way. Whenever a view is a mixture of new and old buildings, I try to mentally filter out the new and focus on structures that would have existed in 1926. For example, the tall building on the right is St. Louis University's Jesuit Hall, dating back to 1921, and the church across the street is from the late 1800s. Just before Forest Park, on the right, we pass another upscale hotel that some early travelers would have stayed at. This is the Hotel Chase, nowadays called the Chase Park Plaza. This whole neighborhood is very high-end, with Forest Park on the left and million-dollar homes on the right. This is a part of Route 66 not to be missed. Route 66 continues all the way to where Lindell dead ends at the east end of Washington University in St. Louis, more often referred to as Wash U. As you can see, looking directly on from Route 66, it's a beautiful campus. From here, we turn south onto Skigger and continue on Old 66. After a mile, we turn right onto Clayton Road. It is here we find this ridiculously large Amico sign. It seems very Spinal Tap-ish, as if someone wrote down the wrong dimensions, they built it anyway, and then they just went with it. Comical, really. We continue on Clayton for 4.5 miles, and I imagine much of it looked like this: a bunch of trees, spattering of houses. And then at Lindbergh Boulevard, which at the time was called Denny Road, we turned south again. This became Bypass 66, so this may be familiar to you as it's listed on many modern road guides. And finally, we'll turn right onto Manchester Road and head west. I hope you enjoyed these views of 1926 era Route 66. If you'd like to see more content like this, you can subscribe to me at patreon.com/Route66Suite. Thanks for watching.